You will be successful if you are willing to just be open to learning. So you got to drop the ego. We all come in, we all know fitness. I've done it for over 30 years, but guess what? Things are changing all the time. Doesn't mean I'm perfect. I'm learning. I want to learn and grow, which is one of the reasons I joined Alloy. I've learned so much in this year.
Kelly, what's up?
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Yes.
Finally got you on the podcast.
I have to say.
Texas strong. Look at that. If you're watching, she's wearing we have a bunch of clubs in Texas, so they did their own Alloy shirts, which I think is super cool. And I'm also from Texas originally. So is Kelly. And for those of you guys that don't know, Kelly is my cousin. So I've known her forever. And it seems interesting that after all these years, you're going to hear about her background, that we ended up working together, and she's awesome. So glad to have you on and let people get to know you. Yeah. Yes. Let people get to know you a little bit and hear about what it is that you do with Alloy. But first, and maybe most importantly, did you bring a dad joke?
I did, because I listened to your podcast and I knew I needed a dad joke.
It's our podcast, first of all.
Oh,
secondly,
that's true.
That's true. Let's hear it. Let's see what you got.
All right. Why did the gym close down?
Oh, God, that's terrible. I don't even like to hear that. But why?
Because it just didn't work out.
Oh, my God. It's so bad.
It's
bad. So bad. Oh, did you hear that William Shatner tried to start a line of women's lingerie at one point?
No.
He didn't? Yeah. Well, the branding didn't work out. It turns out like Shatner Panties is not really a good, brand name. So just didn't work out for him.
No.
Get it?
No. Yeah.
You're like, no.
No.
Every time I say a dad joke, Matt's like, we're canceled. That's it. We're getting canceled. Yeah.
We're done.
That's not bad. That's not bad. Not too bad. All right.
I almost called you. Yeah, I almost called you Ricky right there, but I'm going to work hard to call you Rick. Okay.
Yeah. For anyone listening, my dad's name was Rick, and Kelly is the daughter of my dad's sister. And so everyone called him Rick. And so by default, I was Ricky, but no one calls me Ricky except for my cousins and my aunt on that side of my family. So Kelly calls me Ricky, which I find hilarious. I feel like I'm a NASCAR driver or something. Ricky Dale, which is my middle name. I know. So you can call me whatever you want. I don't mind.
All right.
I don't mind. Well, listen, let's hear about your background a little bit, because I think it would be interesting for people to learn how you got from, your start and the different aspects of your career and how you got to Alloy.
I also find it interesting that I believe I started in 1989. When did you start in fitness? Because I know 92 is Alloy.
I started in fitness in around 90, I think, probably same time that you did.
About the same
and then
time.
I opened the facility in 92, but I was already in the fitness industry.
Okay. So I started in 89 when I was in college, and I was a group fitness instructor. They called us aerobics instructors back in the day. And it worked perfectly because I was also a cheerleader in college. So I got to cheer, and then it was just the moves of aerobics, and I loved it. So fell into that. But my degree is in English and speech communication. So I became an English teacher for a while, but while I was teaching, I was also still in group fitness. And then I was also a cheerleading coach for the high school. So I did that, worked with, kids that way, segued. I realized quickly that school, I liked teaching, but I wanted to teach adults. So I found out there was a club opening up. Near me, and they needed a kids fitness instructor. So they brought me in, I ran their kids program, and then I worked my way up to the general manager and I left teaching. So I left teaching, I decided fitness was my thing, and then kind of segued into Lifetime Fitness, and I became their team training director. And I found that not only did I like working with, adults and fitness, but I also liked coaching and directing the trainers as well. So I've always through teaching my whole life, I've just been coaching people. And then I decided after Lifetime, I decided to leave when I had Trinity, my daughter. I had her in 2007. And I decided to leave and start my own fitness business in 2008. And I was doing that ever since I, decided to come over to you. And I liked because I had Trinity, I wanted a more flexible schedule, but she just graduated. She's getting ready to go to off to college to LA. And I reached out and said, hey, like, let's talk about what you have at Alloy, because while I was going through all this, Ricky, that I was talking to you about what you were doing, but I live in Austin and we've always just kind of communicated about fitness. And I decided to reach out to you because I was listening to a lot of your podcasts and I was watching your success and super happy for you. And I was like, hey, I feel like there could be a position there for me working with you because we have the same beliefs.
Yeah, agreed. I know. And here you are. And you've been here a year. So congratulations. And I appreciate you so much. Well, yeah, look, it's always interesting working with family, but we made you run process and, I stayed out of it and you were hired on your own merit and it's turned out you've been amazing. So everyone loves you on the team. Look, your official role is franchise business coach. And when I hear your background of both teaching, coaching, and fitness, it's like a perfect fit. But I would love for you just to describe maybe to me what your lens is, and certainly anyone listening that's maybe considering getting into an Alloy. You're going to have a coach, right? You're going to have a coach during your build out process. You can have a studio coordinator, then you're going to graduate to a coach for pre-sale, post pre-sale, then to keep your foot on the gas. You're going to transition to Kelly, and then we go from there long term. So that's just sort of the basic structure. But at the highest level, what would you say, franchise business coach in Alloy? What do you do?
I do a lot, but just to break it down to keep it simple, like we like to do, basically, I am watching the business. I'm watching the club, and just making sure that they are successful, just like any coach would do. Just kind of what can I do to help train them to get them stronger so they're successful. I also think a lot of myself is like a lifeguard. I mean, and I equate it to being a trainer as well. I did a lot of small group training, so I totally get this model. And I feel like I'm a lifeguard in the sense that I'm always just watching, like, back and forth with all of my clubs, like who needs me and what do they need, right? Because I'm the one that's supposed to catch the holes, I guess I would say, like something that maybe they're just not seeing. So I point that out, we have a discussion about it, and we go from there. So I'm the eyes. I'm the extra set of eyes, and hoping that they can do it themselves, like you want to happen. Just like even with whenever I'm teaching my students, I want them to be successful. I want them to get that 100% on the test. So it's my job to coach them and teach them along the way so they can do that. So that's just a surface level answer. But
no, it's great because you're right. I mean, we could spend an hour describing all the things that you do, but I agree. I think ultimately, we talk about this. The great thing about a franchise is you are in business for yourself, but you're not by yourself. So you have a Kelly, as an example, you guys, that's going to sit next to you and simply point out the things in the business, because we have such deep knowledge. It's very easy for us in a snapshot, from crop duster height, we can look down and be like, there it is, right? But what we're really doing is teaching you what to look for, because ultimately it's your business. And even though, we always say the franchise is a bicycle, but you have to get on it and pedal it. So at this point, maybe you have your training wheels on, you're coming out of pre-sale. Kelly jumps in and helps you iron out any bugs and make sure you keep your foot on the gas until you reach, we talk about that escape velocity around 100 clients or so. And then it just seems to get easier because you're at that flywheel at that point. But somewhere between that opening 75, 100, it's like you really got to keep, it's sort of a transition out of pre-sale, and you really should just be a continuation of pre-sale. But psychologically, it can be a bit of a like, okay, pre-sale's over. It's like, nope, nothing's over, right? You keep your foot on the gas and keep going. And what you're doing is looking at their key performance indicators and saying, okay, listen, your leads are good, but your book rate is not where we want it. Or then maybe your show rate, or if they do show up, our close rate, meaning we're not maybe meeting the KPIs for, convincing people we have the solution to their problem. And there are action steps around each one of those. So as you're teaching the owner what those levers are, right, along the way, they can then go and coach their team. Now, you also do some work directly with coaches and directors. Is that correct?
I do. I started a director chat and director calls because I realized the directors needed to communicate with each other since they're the ones doing the jobs that they're doing, right? So,
Right. Yeah.
the director would only be able to ask the owner, like, how do I do this? Right. And so the directors, I felt like, needed a homepage, a place to meet. And so, yes, I do director calls, and then as that way also on the chat, they can talk to each other. But it's all positive and everybody's trying to help each other, which I absolutely love. That's, just how we do it. That's our culture. And then as far as the coaches, what I'm doing now too, is they record a session, and I created, because I'm a teacher, I like to create grading sheets just to make it fair and so they can understand. So I'll watch a recorded session and I go through it with the coach, with the owner, with the director to make sure they're running the alloy play. Maybe they're confused on how to incorporate some of our 7 core tenets, or whatever it might be. So I'm working with the coaches, with that as well.
Yeah, and that's so important. I mean, the science is relatively easy. As it turns out, we knew this because we had the white label licensing business before. But it turns out the easiest part is teaching people, because we control it all, how to get a client from the door to the right level and then to apply the workout. You're really coaching exercises because it's an if this then that, right? I think as important, and I would say more importantly, are all the things around it. So you mentioned like a 7 core tenet. So it's just basic stuff, but boy, does it make a difference. It makes the science come to life, right? It's like name within 10 seconds entering the door. Everyone gets the exercise explained to them through their lens, right? So it's like, oh, you're swinging a kettlebell. It's like, if you want your butt to look better, it's like, you could say that, which is true. You could also say it's explosive hip strength. So that would help your golf swing. Also true, right? It's an and, not an or.
Some of them swing their grandbabies through their legs. I don't know, but I mean, find something, right? What's
right.
The benefit for them?
What's their reason why? Yes. And then give them that benefit. So anyway, there's 7 of those, and those are super important. So I'm glad to hear that you're coaching those. So because you're taking clubs that are relatively new, like you're catching them coming out of pre-sale and convincing them, okay, we're still selling, right? Everything, it's all hands on deck. Keep your foot on the gas. What would you say differentiates the best owners from, say, the mid-level owners in your experience?
I would say what the owner has hired well, has trained well, has expectations and follows through with those with their team, right? They're holding the team accountable, and they have a really good work ethic together, and the team works really well. Those are the top clubs. I can tell right away when I meet a team of the owner, the director, and the head coach. I can tell right away, oh, you guys are going to have smooth sailing, because I mean, it's always hard. It's a business. I'm not saying that, but it's everybody working well together, good communication, good training. But it's really holding accountable, because I've talked to several owners who are like, I don't know how to hold them accountable. Well, we have an L10, right? And so we walk through, this is how you hold them accountable, because some of the owners aren't used to working with a team like this, right? So it's learning that process as well.
Yeah, it's always funny. We do the founders call, which is a gatekeeping call to get people to discovery day, which is the last step in the double vetting process, right? And I'll always ask the first question, like, give me any experience that you have professionally around attracting, hiring, and leading people. And I think, a lot of people have done it in a corporate setting, but they may have a lot of support. This is in a small business. It's simple, but it's also, it can be really, somewhat intimidating to someone who's typically had an HR department and this. And it's just you at this point, right? So you're making a decision on these employees. It's very intimate. And so it's leadership, and they may have, exhibited that in their last role, but it's a little different. It's a little bit more intimate in this role. So you just have to get your head around it. To your point, you mentioned L10. So what Kelly's referring to, you guys, is we run a system called EOS, and there's a meeting structure called an L10, and we do it weekly. We teach you the structure so that everybody on the team has objectives and homework. You've got quarterly rocks, as we call them, and those are also quarterly objectives. You've got to-do lists. And really what it does, to your point, Kelly, it makes everyone accountable and everybody knows how they fit into the matrix of the business, right? Which is really important. I mean, you can actually have even your part-timers fully invested if they understand how their contributions make a difference. Otherwise, it's just, and I'm air quoting, it's just a job. Well, you're all trying to change the lives of 130 to 150 people in your community. Everyone in fitness is passionate, but you've got to have a structure around that passion, right? And you have to have accountability. And look, we describe accountability as I think it's the highest form of, again, like love, if you want to call it, whatever that is. It's like really hard to hold people accountable. It's kind of like being a parent, as you can be the cool parent who lets their kid do whatever they want. Then you end up with horrible kids, right? And what kids really want, whether they say it or not, is they want fairness and they want accountability, guardrails, right? Mm-hmm. Like, listen, these are just here so you don't drive off a cliff. There's plenty of wiggle room in here, but like, these are the things that need to be done to be successful as a human, right? In the world, whatever those are. You have to wake up on time. You have to get to school, whatever your things are. Very similar in a business, right? So all you're doing, it's the greatest form of care to hold your people accountable. If you don't, right, it just says that you really don't care about them that much. But if you're there and you do it positively, and we're going to teach you how to do that as well. I agree. I think that people are the crux of the business. And we always say, are you the person you're looking for? Meaning, like, are you wired in the way to attract those really good people? And if you are, and you can lead them, you'll do really well. Yeah. What do you think makes a good, let's move down a level, or let's move over a level to a director and then maybe a coach? What do you say makes a good director and or a good coach in your opinion?
All right. So first of all, the reason I started the director calls is because I noticed time management skills were hard to come by when I was talking with the owners and directors. So time management, on top of that, coming into it, sales. I mean, of course, right. If you're going to be a director, you have to be comfortable with sales, just relentless on sales, calling, talking to people, going up to people. Doesn't matter where you are, you got to do it. But with that being said, and that's easier in pre-sale. What happens, I noticed when they got to me and now we're open, they have a lot of hats to wear and they're juggling a lot of things. And that's where things can go haywire if you are not organized with your time management. So we actually did a whole call on time management. This is how you do it. And I'll talk to, when I ask owners, like, is your, director, how are they with time management? And all we need to do is help coach them through that so they can be more successful. If they're not, we're going to have some problems.
Sure. Yeah, you got to make a move. But the good news is they're going to get coaching on it, right?
They're going to get coaching, a lot of coaching. So, coming into it, they've been coached on sales, and now we're working with, time management and managing people, right? Because they're going to have more people in the facility. They're going to be managing their team, and they have to just be able to, pop around and do all the things.
Yeah. And that is a good skill set. And I love the fact that you have all the directors on the call, because there are directors that they pre-sell their club full and they seem to just make it look effortless. It's like nice to have them weigh in and speak to other directors around, like, well, this is how I do it, right? Sometimes it's better. It's a better delivery when it comes from a peer as opposed to, like, and again, I'm air quoting corporate, I hate that term, but that's kind of what happens in franchising sometimes is, like, again, we are in that parent seat in a lot of ways. And when we tell them something, or like, hey, make a suggestion to franchisees, I think a lot of them take it really well, but there's that dynamic where, okay, that's corporate. And it's like, well, no, here's somebody who is a very successful director in the brand. They're in the same seat that I am, and they're saying essentially the same thing, but it just lands a lot better when it comes from a peer. Would you agree?
Completely agree with that. Again, this is why I did it. I think with my teaching background, those are just things I know. Like I always did when I was a teacher, a high school teacher, crazy, right? Small groups. Like I would put my classes, and I could call them classes because they were not sessions.
That's right. That's right.
I know you hate that word, but I had to say
it's the C word. But in this case, it was an actual class.
Yeah. I put them in small groups for a reason, because same thing, like you're going to have the leaders of those group, you're going to have the listeners. One of the things, if you're on my call, depending on the type of call I'm doing, but I do expect you to participate, right? Like you do need to participate. Even if you have to ask questions, you need to do that. But it is nice. I'll do a Q&A. Like I had John Herrera and Landon Smith. I had them lead a Q&A because they've done it, right? And they didn't give excuses to it. They did it. And this is how they did it. So that's one of my things. I also did a call with these directors on growth mindset, because you will be successful if you are willing to, just be open to learning, right? So I'm open. You got to drop the ego. We all come in, we all know fitness. I've done it for over 30 years, but guess what? Things are changing all the time. Doesn't mean I'm perfect. I'm learning. I want to learn and grow, which is one of the reasons I joined Alloy, because, I've learned so much in this year. Right. So that I'm like having that openness and in our calls, like, oh, okay, it can be done. Example, July, it's supposed to be a hard month, right? In the fitness industry, it's usually hard. People are, so we have this little excuse, but on the director call, we started talking about it, and there were multiple clubs that are doing really, really well. So tell us how you're doing it. So put away the excuse, because people are doing it, clubs are doing it. So anyway, I went off on a little tangent.
No, that's not a tangent at all. That's exactly what I was looking for. Well, that's, it's awesome. And I hope if you're thinking of Alloy, or maybe you're not taking advantage of all the things that we do, make sure your directors are on those calls. It's like, that's invaluable. I don't know that a lot of franchises do what we do. I think we really lean in quite a bit. Still their business. We want you guys to run it, but we're trying to give you all the help and resources that we can. Yeah. And case in point, right? Hey, we're going to run a director's call. And I loved what you said about growth mindset, because I always talk about that. It's sometimes people getting in the fitness industry, they take this particular role, and yes, we have personality screens and things like that. But it's an opportunity. So if you feel like you're a little bit out over your skis, right? It's like, gosh, now I'm kind of like in charge of this small business. That's great. Like, where else are you going to get the opportunity to learn to almost be an entrepreneur, right? It's like your owner, probably, our average owner owns 3 locations. They're going to work alongside you, hold you accountable, give you tips, right? Push you in the right direction. But ultimately, if you can just lean in and learn this skill, you are learning a skill that will cross over to whether you're with Alloy in the future, we hope so. If not, man, you are stacking so many skills that can help you in the future. But to your point, you've got to be open-minded. You've got to be humble, which is so funny to hear you say that. That's our team, essentially. And that's me as well. I can learn something from a brand new personal trainer. I can learn it from a guy who's done franchising for 50 years. It's like they all have something to offer if you're willing to listen and be humble enough to learn. Do you agree?
Completely. And I mean, I don't know if you're going to go somewhere with that, but it's definitely a talk that I have with the team when I'm talking with them, especially just because, everybody's coming in from different backgrounds. So it's like, hey, all have this common background of Alloy. We know this is a great program. It works. So let's all move forward together, supporting that. Right.
Right. Well, look, I won't take up your whole day. I wanted to do a short conversation, get people to know you, or let people have a chance to get to know you. I have a bonus question for you. You ready?
Sure.
If you could tame any wild animal, what would it be and why?
A wild animal? Would a dolphin be considered a wild animal?
Are you going to have a pool? Where are you going to keep this dolphin?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, oh gosh. Well, I really like sea turtles and dolphins. So I want to tame something that I really like. So something.
You can tame a dolphin. We had somebody say shark one time. I'm like, what are you going to do with that? You can't pet it or whatever. They're like, no, it's tame. I can pet it. So you can do dolphins. You just have to have a pool. Or you have to live like right on the ocean, which I know is
I can figure that out. I think I should live right on the ocean. And
it doesn't sound that hard, though. Dolphins are pretty tameable. They already have like dolphins that are trained to do things. But that's okay. Like, it's okay.
It's just, I really like them. And a koala. I guess I like soft or like sweet animals, right? It's sea turtle, koalas. Yeah.
That's right. Have you ever held a koala bear?
Yes, I have, because I've been to Australia.
Same, multiple times. Yeah, I have a picture of me holding one. Yeah, they're actually kind of grouchy. They're not awake much, and when they are, they're kind of grouchy. So
Yeah. Well, I didn't get a grouchy one. I got a really
I didn't either. I got a girl and she was really sweet to me. She was like holding on to my chest and staring at me the whole time. And I'm like, I don't know if she's hungry, but they don't move fast enough to be very intimidating, but still, they're so cute.
I think they're faster than the sloth though.
Yeah, the sloth would be great. Somebody said that to tame that. And that would be really easy because like it doesn't, by the time you left and came back home, it would just have made it to the kitchen from the bedroom. So not like it's going to run off anywhere. Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, listen, appreciate you coming on. Thanks for sharing your ideas. I think it's invaluable. We're psyched to have you on the team. Super valuable. So thank you for that. And Kelly Johnston, everybody.
Thanks for having me.
100%. Give him a aloha. There you go.